Sometimes my idea of a great meal is just a bowl of rehydrated lentil stew, eaten at the top of a mountain after a day of hiking where everything is going to taste fantastic because I'm so hungry. But maybe that's not your idea of a great meal. Maybe you prefer fine dining, maybe you like something with more exotic spices, or maybe just a barbecue by the beach. We are all different. We all enjoy different things. And this is an insight which Christian marriage counsellor Gary Chapman observed after his decades of marriage counselling. He observed that quite often conflict in relationships is because one person is trying very hard to show love to the other, but the other actually doesn't feel loved. And he said it's because so often we're actually speaking different, what he calls love languages. These love languages, he said, are our way that we tend to enjoy being shown love. And therefore, we expect that other people will like the same thing when we do it to them. But he said so often there's great disconnect. And he named 5 different love languages. He said there is words of affirmation, there is physical touch, there is gift giving, there are acts of service, and there is quality time spent together. And I don't know whether these 5 are exhaustive or not, but I think it's a great insight that we do very often have different ways of receiving love to others. And so we can see that the problems in relationships might be that one person is very affectionate and wants to hug and cuddle all the time, but the other person just wishes that they would put the garbage out and do the washing up sometime. Or in another couple, one person is very attentive to doing the chores and really wants to help out, but the other person wishes they just sit down and be still and spend some quality time talking together. And so on. Those ways that we think we're doing the right thing aren't always received so well by the other person. And we hear in the gospel, and so we need to learn those love languages and notice what is my love language, but what's the love language of the people around me in my life? Do I need to change the way I express love to better fit them? What we observe in the gospel today, in Jesus healing a deaf man, is that Jesus quite literally speaks the love language of this deaf man. And we can take from that he also speaks our love language as well. Like me, you've probably heard or read this gospel many times and wondered why there are so many healing miracles in the gospels. We know without a doubt that Jesus could heal people. Then why tell all these different examples of Jesus healing this blind man and this deaf man and that leper? Well, often it's the difference, the nuances, the different details that really can be the insight for us. And what's unique in today's gospel is that Jesus sticks his finger in the deaf man's ear. And if you've ever had someone do that to you, come put their finger in your ear, it's really off-putting. And then we hear that Jesus put spittle on the man's tongue. Now, Jesus must have licked his own fingers and then dabbed that on the person's tongue. Again, a very strange, by our standards, unhygienic thing to do. And I wondered why. Why did Jesus do this? Well, in most of Jesus' healings, he simply speaks a word. He says, "Be healed," or "Go, your faith has saved you." But had Jesus have spoken these words to this deaf man, he quite literally wouldn't have heard it. He was deaf. And so he needed for Jesus to speak in his own language, to communicate in a way that he could receive. And so that physical touch in his ears and on his tongue is what this man needed to understand and receive the love and the healing that Jesus was giving. Yes, Jesus could have just spoken a word out into the void. The man wouldn't have heard it, but then he would have been healed. Yes. But the fact that Jesus goes to the effort of meeting this man where he's at shows us that this is what he does for us too. And indeed, God does this for us. God speaks our love language. St. Thomas Aquinas expressed it with the Latin phrase which begins quid recipitur, which means what is received in the manner of the receiver. So it's not just what we think we're saying, but it's actually what the other person hears us saying that matters. And God, being God, doesn't have the problem that a couple might have in their relationship of misreading the other person's love language. God knows we are made unique with different love languages because he made us unique. And so when God communicates and gives himself to us, when he communicates his grace, God will do that for us in a way that is best suited to our capacity to receive. And so for some of us, it will be through our thoughts. For others, it will be through our feelings. For some, it will be manifest through the words and actions of other people. or through nature, or for some people in those mystical ways which are without word or image or expression. God working silently and fusing into our souls. God knows what is best for us and will work in that way. And so the more we can learn about our own love language may actually give us insights into how God works with us. This weekend, it is Father's Day, and I want to suggest that perhaps the idea of love languages might help us to understand our relationship with our fathers better too. It'd be lovely on Father's Day weekend to say, yay, we all love our dads, but for some people, in fact for very many people, their relationship with their father has been difficult, whether it's a difficult relationship now or has been in the past. For many of us, it's a challenging relationship, and for those who are fathers, you may find that with your children as well, or wonder why there's a distance. And I think the idea of love languages can give us an insight. Fathers obviously want to love their children, without a doubt, but perhaps they are loving with the wrong language. Think about, for example, a teenager. A father wants to protect their child, and so they show love to their child by setting boundaries, keeping them safe, not letting them go too far out in a way that might let them get hurt. A father cares for and protects their child. But for the child, for the teenager especially, their love language is to be shown that they are trusted, to be given the freedom to go and do things, even to make mistakes. That feels like being loved for them. And so there's a great disconnect between the way the father wants to show love and the way the child wants to be loved. And so arguments and hurt can ensue. I do funerals, and sometimes hear people speak at a funeral saying things like, Dad worked really hard to give us everything. But I can hear the sadness behind those words is Dad was always at work. He was never home with us. A father whose love language was providing and giving, but a child whose love language was time and affirmation. And so the disconnect again causes great hurt, sometimes never even healed by the time that someone's died. And so I invite you to reflect on what your love language is. What way do you like to be shown that you are loved, and therefore what way do you show others? But then to notice, is this the same for other people in your life? Maybe you even need to ask them, is this the way you like to be shown that you are loved? And to be open to hear, look, no, not really. You didn't need that. I want something else. Because the openness to have those conversations can free us to truly receive the love that is the intention from our Father, from our children, and from the other people in our lives. But no matter what our status of our relationship is with our own dads, good or not, our relationship with God, our Heavenly Father, can help fill in the gaps of any of our human relationships. Because God knows us through and through. God speaks our love languages. And so we can receive love from Him and know that it's the love that God intends for us.